And the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, joins us now. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you.
Is the idea of this based on what we did with tobacco as a country?
Well, it's research-based of what are the most effective messages so that people who are problem gamblers will pause, really is what it's aimed at, and think about the consequences.
Sure, but when I think about the tobacco one, which was very successful, there were a lot of elements to that strategy. You know, you saw the warnings on the labels, you saw control of advertising particularly, and vast education programs to make smoking less cool, so shall we say. Do you have things like that planned?
No, I think they're different problems you're trying to solve. Smoking isn't good for anybody. What we're aimed at here there's no problem if people have the occasional punt on the Melbourne Cup or on what have you. The problem is a group of people who will become problem gamblers, and that can be devastating for them. So it's just really targeting that rather than saying all gambling, which people might choose to engage in. Sometimes it can be harmless, but the fact is it can cause enormous harm at the same time.
This generation of adults, though, that are problem gamblers, the ones that are, wouldn't have been children that would have been inundated with the vision and the ads that we're seeing now. I mean, what's this next generation hold if this is what they're seeing now? Does it go far enough, do you think, what you're trying to do? I
think we're getting the balance right, not trying to impose a complete nanny state solution, but trying to warn people that it can be an issue and to give them pause for thought.
But do you have any consideration for the amount of advertising? Because sheer amount, kids watching it when they're watching sport or whatever, they're constantly turning up. The tagline at the end probably they receive differently to the way an adult might. Do you see any place for any limitations on advertising?
Well, what we've done is try and bring states and territories with us. So this is an agreement across the board because a lot of it's regulated by them, but also work with industry to get a solution. So we're trying to get everyone headed in one direction rather than make it a conflict issue.
I think obviously we have to talk tonight about the fact that thousands of Australians are at vigils around the country for 15-year-old Indigenous teen Cassius Turvey. Do you have a message for those people that are going out tonight?
Oh, look, I think this is just such a human tragedy. And for Cassius's mum, for people who knew this young man, you look at his smile and you think that's a life that should have been just beginning. And it was over all too soon. And I think that people expressing their concern about it is a good thing. Of course, the processes have to continue, but this is just a real human tragedy that has impacted so many people.
Cassius's mum has thanked you for describing his death as racially motivated. That will obviously be for the courts to decide. But does Australia have a race problem?
Well, we know that in terms of Indigenous people, they're more likely to suffer violence in this country than non-Indigenous people. And so we need to acknowledge that. We need to do much better.
Can we talk about electricity prices for the moment? They're tipped to rise 20% this year. You went to the election promising to lower them by $275 by 2025. Is that promise still alive, or have you ditched that now?
Well, what we know is that renewables are the cheapest form of new energy. And we did modelling on our policy that showed that to be the case. We didn't know that the government changed regulations to keep the 20% increase from the Australian people until after May. They actually changed the law so that wasn't revealed. We know that we need to do much better. We know that there's also enormous pressure due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine has seen global power prices spike, but we also are looking at what we can do in the short term.
But that criticism what you were making before the election, the war in Ukraine had already started by the time you were saying this in the election. So I'm just trying to get what is the current promise? What's the current guarantee? Is it still the old one, or do you have a new one?
The guarantee is that renewables are the cheapest form of energy, that we will fix the transmission of the grid. We did that with the biggest announcement just a fortnight ago with the deal that we struck with Tasmania and Victoria, so a Liberal government and a Labor government, to fix transmission, including through the Marinus link.
But you're not
and that will make a
any
difference.
guarantee on numbers? That's gone now?
No, what we know, the numbers are the energy bills will be cheaper if you have more renewables in the system and you fix transmission.
Okay.
When you became Prime Minister, I'm sure you were expecting people to become obsessed with you, maybe the occasional stalker. Were you expecting that stalker to be Fat Man Scoop? Because he is not letting go. You're on Fifi, Fev and Nick this morning. And
Fifi, who's coming up later in the show
Fifi's coming
as well.
up, absolutely. And, well, you were doing an interview and then this happened.
Hello?
Oh.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
How you doing? This is Fat Man Scoop.
Batman again.
Sir, I love you. I respect you. But I need you to come down and DJ with me, sir. Do you have an Instagram? Can I slide in your DM? I mean, you got to give me an option here, sir, because this is not working.
You can slide into my DMs anytime, Batman.
So this is not a threat, sir. If you do not do this, I'm getting my Australian citizenship and I'm running against you, sir. That's it. That's it.
I hate to give you the big tip, but I think I can possibly stop that happening.
Now, I think the big scoop in that might be that you're suggesting that, I mean, you're not Immigration Minister. Have you secretly made yourself Immigration Minister?
No.
Is there a scoop I've stumbled upon here?
One job will do. But Fat Man Scoop, he slipped into a radio interview I did in Brisbane, now in Melbourne.
Aren't you getting up and doing a DJ set with him or
It is.
something? Didn't he offer that?
Well, he has offered. There's a bit of a problem because it's November 11, which is Remembrance Day, of course. And then I'm headed to the East Asia Summit. So
Doesn't feel like the appropriate time to get up and do a bit of Fat Man Scoop DJ
not quite.
time.
Are you saying that move might backfire with some people?
Not quite, but I have recorded something for him.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
So for people who are at the gig, they'll get to see
I will
it.
be there. I can't wait to watch. Yeah.
All right. Any hints?
Oh, you'll have to wait and see. But remember, of course, that I'm not the first Prime Minister to have a connection with Fat Man Scoop.
Oh, no, we're well aware.
You'll get to see I don't think Scott Morrison's office listened to some of the lyrics.
No, that's true. That's true.
Of that particular song.
That's true. All right, we have to leave it there. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us at the desk. Really
Good to be with you.